Retrieval practices, woohoo! Okay, so before I talk about retrieval practices, let's talk about cryptocurrencies, more specifically blockchains. So blockchains are how cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin remain, virtually unhackable. So instead of information being stored within a central database, that information is shared and copied throughout each computer within the blockchain. So in order for that information in one block to be changed or hacked essentially, you would need to change the information on every single computer that has a copy of that block. So if we think of our memory or our mental capacity as cryptocurrency, then why would we try to cram all of Math 182 into a single study session before a big exam? Right? It won't work. It's unstable, and it's going to be hacked. So here's an example of that. When we separate it into retrieval practices, when we use retrieval practices in order to separate our information, we're capable of answering questions more efficiently because we haven't memorized. We're not relying on our memorization of the information. We're relying on our actual understanding of it. So here's an example of that. So what are retrieval practices? So when we are using previously learned information or we're recalling information that we haven't used, recently, we're bringing that information forward, you are literally retrieving that information. So that is a retrieval practice, is anything that requires you to retrieve that information. So my favorite type is interleaved learning. So here's a visual of interleaved learning. How I do it is I create a list of important tasks or areas of focus. And I separate these tasks into appropriately timed Pomodoro cycles. So instead of in the first section, you see it's like all of A, all of B, all of C. I alternate between my Pomodoro cycle. So I'll do like 30 minutes of chem, switch to 30 minutes of math, switch to, yada, yada, everything that I need to do within the day. And then I'll repeat. And of course, you can extend your time. As you can see, we have like double B blocks at the end, but you never want to go above, 2 or 3 hours per subject. And that's because we want to optimize the efficiency for every single subject, right? Devoting too much time to one will lead to fatigue, and that'll cause the other subjects that you need to focus on to be underdeveloped. So taking long breaks in between concepts, specifically like in between problems, like if you stop working on a problem before you're even done and you have to return back to it in 30 minutes, that'll force you to be able to understand, your thought process, that you can go back to it and recall it, right, a lot better. So basically, we don't want to be parrots. We don't want to just memorize words and information and pretend like we know what we're doing. We don't want to be a parrot, right? Because memorizing processes aren't the same as understanding concepts. So I'll leave you with this. Can you say the ABCs? Probably, yeah. Can you say the ABCs, but can you start from the letter G? I don't know, a little bit harder. And lastly, can you say the ABCs backwards, starting from the letter G? I don't know, probably, maybe not. It's a little bit harder because we've never been required to, right? We've only had to know this beautiful song that went with it that helped us learn. But how well do you know your ABCs is all I'm trying to say. So thank you so much. Use retrieval practice. It'll help you in the long run.